Oh my God, I think we're live. Hey guys, how's it going? What's up? Robbie Couch here. We are doing something a little bit differently today. So usually Fridays are my weekend reviews, and this is a weekend review, but usually they're recorded slightly before they air on Fridays at noon Eastern. But this week was so crazy. Oh my gosh, my apartment looks different from this view, like with the track lighting, and it's like slightly different. I don't know, it's kind of throwing me off. But because this week was sort of crazy, I was traveling. I live in Denver, but I was in Chicago for like 3 days. And work was especially crazy at the office this week. We were kind of like, let's just do this live. Like, let's just record live on Friday and then air it shortly after, like right after, and see how it goes. This could be a train wreck. This could be a disaster. This is the first time I've done YouTube live, so hold your breath. And hopefully nothing too horrific happens. But so far, so good, I think. So for the weekend review this week, the first thing I want to talk about today is Dear Evan Hansen. Oh my God, you guys. So as I just noted, I was in Chicago for Monday night through Thursday. And there was two big reasons why I went to Chicago. The first being that I had to wrap up some loose ends on my apartment. Because I just moved to Denver, and so I was like cleaning the bathroom, like on my knees, like scrubbing the floor. The tile floor was not the most fun experience of my life, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So I had to turn over my keys for my apartment and wrap things up there. But also, I had bought tickets to see Dear Evan Hansen with my really good friend V in Chicago months and months ago. And this was the week that we were going to see it. So I decided to make the trip back. And it was sort of like, do I want to sell my tickets? I just moved to Denver. Like, do I already want to go back to Chicago so soon? But it was like, yes, I've been wanting to see this show. Here's the playbill for it. Dear Evan Hansen, if you're like, that sounds familiar, maybe this looks more familiar. The Evan Hansen's in the cast in the show. It was so good. Basically, the long story short, like synopsis is Evan Hansen is dealing with some social anxiety, some mental health stuff in his own life, and he's a high school senior. But then he kind of gets caught up in the suicide of another another teen at his high school who was sort of an acquaintance to him. But then things get really complicated. And I mean, not only was it a wonderful story, I was laughing out loud at many moments. I was definitely crying out loud at many moments. But it also I thought it made the issues of mental health, mental illness, and even suicide accessible. Like it destigmatized it and made it a little bit easier for people to kind of talk about it and discuss it in a proactive way. So I feel it was just such a good show. Again, laughing, crying, the full spectrum of emotion, and there's characters in it for everyone. So even though it's like based off of this high schooler's perspective, he has a single mom who's dealing with a lot of really tough single parent stuff. There's other characters in the show of different ages that are like kind of working through, you know, the high schooler who died by suicide. His parents have their own kind of unique stories. It's just such a good show, you guys. So if you're in Chicago or New York, I don't know if it's playing anywhere else at this particular moment, but if you're in New York or Chicago and you have a chance to see it, I know tickets can be pricey on Broadway, which kind of that sucks. But if you have the chance to see it, definitely see it. Dear Evan Hansen, so good. And also Ben Platt was the original in New York. I was kind of nervous because I knew he was amazing in it. And I was kind of nervous to see whoever like was playing in Chicago. I was like, who's this guy? He was phenomenal. His name, oh my God, let me look it up really, really quickly so that I don't I would feel bad if I didn't mention his name because he was so good. So Evan Hansen was played by Ben Levy-Ross. Ben Levy-Ross. Ben, you did a remarkable job. This whole cast did a remarkable job. They were so good. Dear Evan Hansen. The second thing I want to talk about today is Jussie Smollett. Now, here's the thing. So I don't really have too much to add to this story. I feel like everyone has an opinion. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone has a take. Everyone's writing an op-ed and tweeting and whatever. Everyone is contributing to the collective narrative of this developing story. The only thing I want to add to it is please keep in mind, especially straight white cisgender people, please keep in mind that there's a lot of pain and devastation in the queer community right now, especially among queer people of color and Black queer people. Like, this isn't just a story about like a celebrity doing an awful thing. The ramifications of this are big, and there's a lot of heartache right now in the queer community, and again, particularly among queer people of color. And I know that there's a lot of anger at Jussie, and rightfully so. Like, if the facts shake out what they appear to be, showing, there hasn't been too many great developments in recent days. But I think just keep in mind that beyond this being a celebrity TMZ story, there's a lot of hurt and a lot of frustration among marginalized people in this country when it comes to hate crimes. And, just from talking to my own few friends and other people I follow online who are queer people of color, this is devastating, and it's really not fun. So just keep that in mind when you're like rage tweeting and you're like updating your Facebook status and you're like going off on whoever in the comments. Like, just keep in mind that people are seeing what you're writing, and there's a lot of frustration and pain, and we should all just practice empathy and be there for one another. And maybe if you have a queer person of color in your life, reach out to them and be like, I got your back. This was terrible, but I support you. I love you, whatever. I don't know. I don't want to get too cheesy, but you get the drift. Just keep that in mind. That's all. The third thing I want to talk about today in this week in review is the new push from the Trump administration to end the criminalization of homosexuality around the world, which was a mouthful. On paper, as a headline, that of course sounds wonderful, right? The administration is taking on, LGBTQ rights around the world. Like, they're doing something proactive about it for once. But once you kind of pull back the curtains and see what's really going on and put it into the context of world affairs, it's not so great. It's definitely not as great as it sounds, that's for sure. So just to recap really quickly, there's a new push by the Trump administration to end the criminalization of homosexuality, particularly in countries in the Caribbean, in Africa, and the Middle East. It's still illegal to be gay. It's still illegal to be LGBTQ in dozens of countries around the world, which is awful. It's not a good thing, of course. But the thing is, the Trump administration has done everything the past 2 years. Everything they've done the past 2 years has shown that they don't care about LGBTQ rights, right? Like, both domestically when it comes to the transgender military ban or revoking some protections for LGBTQ people. Like, the administration doesn't care. Are you kidding me? And then globally, they especially don't care. There has been a situation in Chechnya for years now where Chechen officials have been cracking down on men they believe to be gay or bisexual. It's not even confirmed, just men that Chechen officials believe are queer. They've been arresting them, torturing them, and in some cases, even killing them, murdering them. And the Trump administration hasn't even batted it. Like, they don't care at all of that situation. And so it's sort of a hollow promise and really not genuine at all for the Trump administration to suddenly be on the front lines of LGBTQ rights. Are you kidding me, Trump? No, that's a bunch of BS. So that's kind of the first component, is the fact that it's not a genuine push to promote human rights globally at all. But the other layer to it that you have to keep in mind is that the main target of this new push is Iran. And for a number of reasons, it's in Trump's political interests to demonize Iran, to make them, the United States geopolitical foe in the region, in the Middle East. And so, I mean, I'm not at all defending Iran's track record when it comes to LGBTQ rights. But at the same time, it's not an authentic push to advocate for the rights of LGBTQ people around the world. So I'm not buying it, Trump. I'm just not buying it. Okay, the fourth thing I want to talk about today is this new article that was in NBC News that talked about kind of InstaGay culture and how that affects dieting and body image and eating disorders. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you don't know what hashtag InstaGays are, it's sort of the term for gay men who will on Instagram post nothing but shirtless selfies, and they look usually very ripped and conventionally very hot and usually masculine and very like, yeah, that whole thing. So that's sort of been dubbed like the InstaGays of Instagram. And there's this new article that talks about kind of breaking that down, looking at how that is affecting the broader LGBTQ community, particularly gay men, and self-esteem, self-image, and dieting and eating disorders. And it wasn't great. I'm really conflicted about this because I know I have a few friends who you would consider InstaGays, and they're really kind people, have big hearts, have hearts of gold, and who do a lot of great work too in like the charity space and social justice space. But then they have these pages that are really, I think, yeah, they're kind of contributing to this kind of almost toxic masculinity, thing happening in the gay community, where we feel like we have to be masculine, we have to be ripped, we have to have a certain body type, we have to look a certain way in order to fit in. So I'm really torn over it. I don't want to gang up on the InstaGays too much, villainize them too much, but I will say I do kind of do a deeper dive into Instagram and mental health in Views from the Couch coming up in the week after next. So the Tuesday following this coming Tuesday, I kind of get into it a little more because something happened to me on Instagram where I was like, oh, this is not good. It made me kind of do a check on myself and reevaluate like my relationship with Instagram and how it may be like hurting or affecting my mental health. And so I kind of dig into that. It's less about the InstaGay stuff, but more about just Instagram and how it makes us feel. One thing I will say is you should 100% feel empowered to like Marie Kondo the F out of your own Instagram feed, the Marie Kondo from Tidying Up, and look at every follower and go, does this follower spark joy? Does this person make me happy? Is this someone I want to like follow and feel good about following? Or does this person make me feel crappy about myself? And if they make you feel crappy about yourself, unfollow that shit. Like, over it, right? Like everyone should feel empowered to like control exactly who they follow and what they follow online, and curate your own happiness and your own world via Instagram and every social media outlet, right? Like we should all feel empowered to do that. So that's all I gotta say on that for now. But tune into the Views from the Couch a week from Tuesday, and I will dig into this a little bit more. Okay, and the fifth thing I want to talk about today in this week's live week in review is the Wallace's, I think it's called the Wallace's Giant Bee, the Wallace Giant Bee. I don't know if you guys have seen this thing. It is nuts. So in Indonesia, I believe, a few days ago, I think it was in January, but the video was just released. They found this giant ass bee. It's like the size of a human thumb. A bee, the body of the bee is like the size of a human thumb. Oh, you can see my scar from when I was a kid on my thumb. Anyways, the wingspan is over 2 inches of a bee. It looks like a flying, like seeing photos or videos of it, it looked like a flying cockroach. I was borderline mortified and very, very alarmed that these things exist in Earth and not on Earth and not like a Jurassic Park film. But so they found it. The good news is they thought this particular species of bees had gone extinct. So a lot of people in the environmental world were very excited to discover this bee because obviously it's not extinct and they're probably more in the Indonesian forest or jungle that it was found. So there's been so much bad climate change news and like conservation news. There's like, we're on the cusp of a 6th mass extinction where I think we're already technically in the Earth's 6th mass extinction. And there's so much to feel not great about in terms of where we're at on climate change and protecting the Earth and so many things. And so this little gem of like, oh, this species isn't gone yet. Like, let's just hold on to that and celebrate that, right? Let's celebrate that. Hello. So yeah, that's all I have. That's it for my week in review. I think this went well. I think I like doing it live, recorded live. This was kind of great. Let me know what you're doing this weekend, guys. I would love to hear about it in the comments. I'm tired. Whenever I travel, like even if it's just a fun trip, like a time zone away, whenever I get on an airplane and get off an airplane, I'm like exhausted. It takes a lot out of me. So I'm super excited to just chill out this weekend, see a few friends, nothing crazy, spend 48 hours just kind of like in the zone, relaxing, maybe some Netflix binge watching. I don't know. There's a hot tub in my apartment that I haven't taken advantage of yet. Maybe I'll just like soak in a hot tub for 48 hours. I don't know. I'm going to carpe diem this weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. But let me know in the comments what you're doing this weekend, if you have any fun plans, or if you have any thoughts on any of the topics I covered, especially the InstaGay thing. I feel like people have opinions about this InstaGay article. It's on NBC News. Check it out if you haven't read it yet. Let me know what you think. But yeah, that's it for me. Hope you guys have a terrific, terrific weekend, and I will catch you next week at Views from the Couch on Tuesday. All right, see you guys.